Joder.
Muy buenos días. Good morning, everyone. We're going to be doing it in English and in Spanish. I know that we have outlets from both English and Spanish, so we'll do our best to make sure that we provide messaging in both languages. Sé que hay medios en inglés y español que vamos a hacer lo posible por hacerlo de manera bilingüe. Buenos días, estamos en mi nombre es Cristian Ramírez y soy el director de la Coalición de Comunidades Fronterizas, también director de Derechos Humanos aquí en Alianza San Diego. Es lamentable que estemos en la antesala del 5º aniversario del asesinato aún impune de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas, y que esto demuestra que a pesar de la voluntad por parte de Aduanas de Protección Fronteriza de establecer un diálogo importante entre la sociedad civil y las autoridades federales, lo cierto está de que el gobierno de este país continúa obstaculizando el acceso a la justicia para las comunidades fronterizas. Y es por eso que nuestro compromiso el día de hoy es de actualizar a los medios de comunicación y a la sociedad en general sobre estas artimañas legales que está estableciendo el gobierno federal en el caso civil de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas, así como hablar sobre la intención de las comunidades fronterizas de seguir insistiendo que Aduanas de Protección Fronteriza, la Policía Federal más numerosa de este país, continúa operando fuera de control y es sumamente urgente de que esta dependencia se profesionalice, rinda cuentas, sea transparente. Folks, my name is Cristian Ramirez. I'm the director of the Southern Border Communities Coalition. I'm also the Human Rights Director here at Alliance San Diego. It is a sad day that nearly 5 years since the horrific beating and death of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas at the port of entry, we are still gathering in a quest for justice. Despite the fact that Customs and Border Protection has engaged in a meaningful dialogue with civil society groups along the southern border and the northern border, we are still light years away from ensuring that this agency is held accountable, that it's transparent, and that it adopts the best practices of law enforcement agencies. We want to ensure that Customs and Border Protection, the largest law enforcement agency in the United States, is held to the highest standards of professionalism. The fact remains that border families are still wondering why is it that their loved one was killed. Why is it that Border Patrol agents and Customs and Border Protection agents continue to shoot first and ask questions later? And why is it that the largest law enforcement agency in this country continues to operate with impunity and continues to adopt a culture of violence? And nothing is more telling than the delays in the civil matter of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas that we will share with you in a few moments. But it is important to note that our communities are committed to ensuring that the largest law enforcement agency in the United States is held accountable, that it's transparent, that it's professional, and that we will continue to expose the fact that there are some parts of our government that continues to stand in the way of justice. And without any further delay, I want to bring forward colleague Andrea Guerrero, the Executive Director of Alliance San Diego, and also the co-chair of the Southern Border Communities Coalition, who will update us on the current status of the civil matter involving the case of Anastasio Hernandez.
Thank you, Christian, and good morning to everyone. I'm Andrea Guerrero, A-N-D-R-E-A, G-U-E-R-R-E-R-O, and I'm the Executive Director here at Alliance San Diego, and co-chair of SBCC. We are here today to brief you on the legal case. There are two legal proceedings in the Anastasio case. One is a criminal process and one is a civil case. And so just to make sure that we are all on the same page, have the same information, I'm going to take you back a few steps. Anastasio was brutally killed on May 28th, 2010, nearly 5 years ago. 2 years after his death, an eyewitness came forward with video, shocking video that revealed what in fact had happened to Anastasio and countered the account of the Border Patrol agents and the other agents who were present at the scene. Upon revelation of the eyewitness video, the family traveled to Washington, D.C., met with the Department of Justice, and asked the Department of Justice to kickstart that case. That case had been languishing for 2 years. It was upon receipt of that video that the Department of Justice called a grand jury investigation, and that grand jury investigation, as far as we know, is still pending. So it's been pending for now 3 years. We don't know if that is close to completing or has secretly concluded or not. We've made inquiries, but we have no answers. What we should all keep in mind is that we're coming up on the 5th year anniversary of the incident, and there are a number of charges that could be brought, we believe, against the agents in criminal proceedings. One of them is murder. There are other civil rights charges that could be brought against them for violating the civil rights of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas. Those have a statute of limitations of 5 years, as we understand it. So it would be good of us all to inquire with the Department of Justice to understand whether they are in fact going to take action in the next 6 weeks or not, whether they're going to bring him or not. That's an important piece of information. There could be breaking news on that front in the next 6 weeks. There could also be breaking news in the civil case. So the civil case is another way that the family is attempting to seek justice and accountability in the killing of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas. The family brought civil suit in this case roughly 1 year after Anastasio was killed in 2011. So the civil case has been making its way through the civil court process for now 4 years. 4 years. It's been nearly 5 years since the killing, and 4 years the civil case has been winding its way through. Unfortunately, the government, who represents the agents who were involved in the killing, have tried everything to delay this case. They have obstructed this case, they have delayed this case as long as they could, as much as they could, and we are tired of it. And the family is tired of it, and we'll speak to that. But specifically, the government has done 3 things. They initially filed a motion to keep the identities of the agents involved secret. The judge denied that motion, found no basis for keeping the names of those agents secret. But that was a delay in the case. They then filed a motion to stop the discovery process indefinitely. And the discovery process is the process through which evidence is compelled by the government. They did not want to have to turn over any evidence until the criminal proceedings were complete. As I mentioned, the criminal proceedings are pending. They may last a lot longer, we don't know, but the judge denied that motion as well. That was another significant delay in the case. Most recently, they filed a motion for summary judgment in the case. They were trying to throw the case out, and they are claiming that the agents are immune from the civil lawsuit because they did not violate any of Anastasio's constitutional rights. So let me say that again. They attempted to throw the case out by alleging that they did not violate any of Anastasio's constitutional rights. The judge denied that motion recently, and the government has now appealed that motion, that decision, to the Ninth Circuit, to the Appellate Circuit. That move could delay this civil case for many more years. Many more years. Why is the government trying to delay this case? Why are they trying to avoid the day of reckoning in the civil lawsuit? That is the question that we have. Now, the family has excellent attorneys. I am not an attorney for the family. The attorneys are available to you separately outside of this press conference. And the attorneys yesterday filed a motion, in a series of motions, asking the district court to determine that the appeal is frivolous, that the appeal of the government is frivolous, and that they should proceed to trial, that the family has waited long enough, that they have suffered long enough, and they deserve their day in court. They deserve to see accountability and justice served for the travesty and the tragedy that occurred nearly 5 years ago. We expect breaking news on that request by the family's attorneys to determine whether the government's appeal is frivolous. If the judge, the district court judge, determines that the appeal is frivolous, this case will go to trial, and it will go to trial imminently. So stand by. We expect breaking news on that decision, on whether the judge determines the appeal frivolous. That will be significant. We hope he does find that the government's appeal is frivolous, because in fact it is. In fact, you can only appeal a case before it goes to trial if there is a question of law, meaning if the district court judge made a wrong legal decision in determining that the case should go to trial. There's no sound basis for the government's appeal, in our opinion, in the opinion of the family's attorneys. We believe that it is indeed frivolous. We hope the judge finds it so, and we hope that this case gets to see its day in court, because it has frankly been too long. So to reiterate, in the next 6 weeks, prior to the 5th anniversary on May 28th of Anastasio's killing, we expect potentially a number of news items. One, on the criminal case, some sort of determination about whether there's going to be criminal proceeding on the civil cases, on the criminal case, we are anticipating the possibility of a grand jury indictment or news of no indictment, either way, on the civil rights abuses which have a statute of limitations as we understand it. And on the civil case, we are anticipating shortly a decision from the district judge on whether the government's frivolous appeal is in fact frivolous, and whether this case goes to trial. The importance of this case is that it's the first case. It is the first case in a long string of cases on abuse that has been tracked and monitored by advocates in the last 5 years. It is one of the few where we have video evidence, we have eyewitness testimony, and it's the case, though known locally as a local case, it is a national case because it broke the shield of credibility of Customs and Border Protection when the eyewitness video emerged. And so it's a good time to be asking questions of all of the parties, and it's a good time to be standing by. And there's no way I can do all of that in Spanish, but maybe my colleagues can summarize for me.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and I'll summarize in Spanish. El gobierno ha intentado demorar el proceso civil en el caso de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas desde el principio. Al principio, el gobierno intentó mantener el secreto de identidad de los agentes, moción que fue rechazada por el distrito federal. En segunda instancia, en el proceso penal, también se interpuso una moción para demorar el proceso de exploración del caso. Esa moción también fue descartada por el juez de distrito. Ahora el gobierno federal intenta apelar ante una corte superior, indicando de que los agentes tienen inmunidad y que por lo tanto no violentaron los derechos constitucionales de Anastasio. El tiempo de las artimañas y las demoras ya terminó. Ahora es el momento de que el gobierno le permita a la familia de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas tener un día en la corte, asegurar que estas demoras no continúen, no constituyen una agraven más a la familia Anastasio, que ya ha sufrido por 5 largos años, ha estado en espera de enfrentar el caso civil. Es importante también recalcar que el proceso penal aún continúa. Exhortamos a los medios de comunicación, a la sociedad en general, a que se contacten con el Departamento de Justicia para que esta entidad gubernamental nos informe a la ciudadanía sobre los avances en el caso penal de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas. Hay un gran jurado que está sesionado y que tiene la obligación, por tratarse de un caso de interés nacional, tiene la obligación del Departamento de Justicia de informar a la ciudadanía sobre el estatus de esta investigación penal y asegurar que los agentes involucrados en el homicidio de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas, que han sido plenamente identificados, que estos agentes, el proceso penal avance y que se informe a la ciudadanía si va a proceder el Departamento de Justicia con cargos penales en contra de los oficiales que lastimosamente continúan en funciones. Eso es para resumir lo que Andrea comentaba. Ahora tengo el privilegio de pedirle a María Puga, viuda de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas, que bueno, que me da a conocer el sentir de la familia en 5 años, los planes que tiene la familia para continuar esta importante lucha. Y yo nada más quiero comentarles de que María es una de las pioneras en esta larga lucha para asegurar que el patria fronteriza es una dependencia profesional que rinda cuentas a la ciudadanía. Ella ha demostrado con su incansable lucha de que mientras continúe la denuncia pública, mientras la ciudadanía se arme de valor y pierda miedo, esta dependencia que se ha aprovechado de su fuerza desmesurada para someternos y meternos el temor, empieza ya a cascadear. Esta dependencia ya no puede ser la misma que era antes del caso Anastasio, porque la lucha de María ha demostrado que la voz de la ciudadanía es más potente que la fuerza policíaca más grande de este país. María.
Buenos días, gracias por estar aquí. Pues aquí estamos a 6 semanas del asesinato de mi esposo, de parte de la patrulla fronteriza. Ha sido 5 años de mucha desesperación, tristeza, de mirar que el caso no avanza, que el gobierno está alargando el tiempo. Como siempre he dicho, no entendemos qué es lo que esperan, si todos sabemos que son culpables. Pero siempre he dicho yo que nosotros vamos a estar aquí, no nos vamos a cansar, vamos a seguir insistiendo, diciendo que lo que queremos es justicia. Justicia para que esto no vuelva a suceder. Hay tantas familias como nosotros que están sufriendo, hijos quedando sin su padre. Pues ya basta. Queremos justicia, queremos que esto pare. No hay que tener miedo, hay que denunciar.
It's been nearly 5 years of waiting, and it's been 5 years of hopelessness at times, 5 years of despair, but we are committed to continue to struggle. What I've always stated is that we know what happened. The videos speak for themselves, and that we are committed to making sure that this case moves forward. What I also want to tell the community is that we should not be afraid, that folks should come forward to make sure that we hold this agency accountable.
Invito a la comunidad a que denuncie, que no nos quedemos callados, que no permitamos que esto siga pasando, porque mientras nosotros no denunciemos, esto va a continuar. Y nosotros tenemos que unirnos todos y decir ya basta con esos abusos, esos asesinatos, esa destrucción de familias que han hecho ellos, con este dolor que nos dejan a nosotros, mirar a nuestros hijos crecer sin su padre. Eso es bien triste para nosotros, por mi parte, yo como madre, de que no sé cómo a mis hijos curarles ese dolor. Han pasado 5 años y mis hijos siguen preguntando, ¿por qué mataron a mi papá? ¿Por qué? Esa es una respuesta que siempre no sé qué decir, no sé qué contestar. Van creciendo y siguen igual con ese dolor. Entonces, queremos que se haga justicia. Yo pido que se haga justicia por todas las familias, por mi familia, por mis hijos. Que quiero que tengamos un poco de paz, porque esto, sé que siempre va a estar con nosotros este dolor, porque pasan los años y nos damos cuenta de que sin justicia no hay paz.
It's been 5 long years, and I yet don't know how to heal the wounds that are left in my family as a result of the taking away of kids' father. In 5 years, and kids still ask me why did they kill my daddy. But one thing that I've learned in this struggle is at the end that there is no justice, there cannot be peace. So I invite everyone to come forward and complain, stand together, and hold these agencies accountable. You have been victimized by them. This is a commitment of a mother who has to continuously answer to her children. The pain that they left inside of us is so deep and so difficult to keep.
Gracias.
Gracias, Maria. Thank you very much, Maria. That was Maria Puga, M-A-R-I-A, Puga, P-U-G-A. Next, we have Pedro Rios, who is the director of the American Friends Service Committee, and also the chair. He's also the chairperson of the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium. Pedro has followed this case since the first days of terrible events that seemed to report entry that led to the death of Anastasio Hernandez Rojas. It's a pleasure to have him here with us today.
Thank you, Christian. Again, my name is Pedro Rios, P-E-D-R-O-R-I-O-S, and I'd like to continue on the theme that Maria mentioned. We have launched a border-wide campaign to document cases of mistreatment, cases of abuse of authority, cases of lack of professionalism on the part of agents associated with Customs and Border Protection. This is a project, it's a campaign that we've launched with the Southern Border Communities Coalition and all of the organizations that are members of it across the border to document cases on all of the 42 ports of entry that unite the United States with Mexico. It's a campaign that we hope will be able to tell us what the patterns of practice are as a result of these cases. And it's understandable there are many people that are fearful to come forward. There are many people who have tried to file complaints but are unable to because there are no proper mechanisms to do so. There are no forms in Spanish, for instance, for people to complain if they are Spanish speakers. And these are the types of cases that we want to bring forward and to show how CBP as an agency can improve its procedures, but also to ensure that we identify which of the policies we need to address in order to make real and significant change so that people who are crossing the border can do so in a dignified way and not be treated with a lack of respect and lack of dignity. Our campaign, Cross with Dignity, Luce con Dignidad, is a campaign that we hope will provide us with a better picture of what these types of cases are, and this way we can address them in a direct way now that there has been dialogue established with CBP. Quiero entonces retomar el punto que comentó María acerca de la denuncia y lo importante que es denunciar casos de maltrato, casos de abuso de autoridad. Estamos participando en una campaña, que es una campaña a lo largo de la frontera, con organismos de defensa de los derechos humanos. Esta campaña pretende documentar casos de maltrato por agentes asociados con aduanas y protección fronteriza en todos los 42 puertos de entrada que unen a los Estados Unidos y México. Y el propósito de esta campaña es primero identificar cuáles son los patrones de casos de maltrato que se están viendo y segundo, tener estos casos para poder asegurarnos que cambie la política ahora que ya se ha establecido una manera de comunicación con aduanas de protección fronteriza y asegurar de que la campaña Cruce con Dignidad sea una campaña que realmente pueda crear el espacio para que las personas puedan cruzar con dignidad y no ser maltratadas al intentar cruzar por las raíces. Next, I want to take on that during these 5 years of struggle, 5 years of walking together side by side with Anastasio's family, we've been able to identify areas that could be improved. And one of the issue areas that really brought forth the case, that provided another truth, another version, another story that gave us another picture of what actually happened that fateful evening 5 years ago, was the use of cameras. When witnesses came forward with their cameras, with their video footage, provide us another side of the story. And for that reason, we thought it would be very important that CBP agents across the U.S. be fitted with body-worn cameras. We've seen how body-worn cameras have been an effective tool with other local police agencies. We know that there are cameras in use not only here in San Diego County, but also in Tijuana. It's a best practice that we think could improve the type of documentation that should be needed and should be used, particularly when we have cases where agents are involved in a deadly incident and we only have one version about that incident that took place. We are continuing our advocacy around the use of body-worn cameras. We believe, again, that this is a good tool, an effective tool that will get us to a point where we can begin to create greater accountability and much more transparency for an agency that has been opaque at best, that has been that has not had any accountability oversight mechanisms for almost its 91 years in existence. Segundo, quería tomar el punto del uso de cámaras en los uniformados. En los últimos años, desde el incidente del caso de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas, nos dimos cuenta que una herramienta importante fue cuando los testigos se acercaron y presentaron los videos que tomaron en esa noche, hace 5 años, y nos dimos cuenta que el uso de videos, especialmente cámaras de video en los uniformados, podría ser una herramienta importante para asegurar que realmente se pueda crear un sistema de rendición de cuentas o para establecer mayor transparencia con una dependencia que a través de casi sus 90 años de existencia nunca ha realmente tenido mecanismos para asegurar ese rendimiento de cuentas. Y por eso mismo seguimos nosotros luchando para que todos los agentes de aduanas y protección fronteriza usen cámaras en sus uniformes cuando están en sus operativos para que podamos tener por lo menos ese video disponible en casos cuando ocurren muertes, por ejemplo, o cuando ocurren incidentes donde solamente queda la versión del oficial. Vamos a seguir junto con todos los organismos que componen esta coalición, abogando por el uso de las cámaras, y es uno de los propósitos que nos trae hoy aquí, y tenemos el privilegio de tener el respaldo de las familias sobre esta campaña.
Gracias, Pedro. Thank you very much, Pedro. Border communities have been in dialogue the last few weeks to come together and urge Customs and Border Protection to put an end to the brutality border communities have to endure for far too long. Bernardo Hernandez Rojas, Anastasio's brother, is here with us today, and he's going to be sharing with us some of the plans that families who have lost loved ones at the hands of Border Patrol have had loved ones seriously injured by Customs and Border Protection officers have talked about and will be implementing the next few weeks.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Bernardo, soy hermano de Anastasio Hernandez, y ya son 5 años y estamos exigiendo la justicia, buscando justicia, y quiero invitar a la gente que se una este 28 de mayo, que es aniversario del asesinato de mi hermano, para una acción que se va a llevar a lo largo de la frontera, y que se una y nos apoye para hacer alto a la brutalidad de la política.
Just to reiterate, Bernardo is calling on border communities to come together on May 28th to a national day of action to put an end to border brutality. And with that, I want to open it up for any questions for you, and we'll be available for one-on-one interviews. Preguntas a la prensa.
¿Has contactado a algún congresista después de que ellos mandaron una carta oficial para apoyar una acción legal? ¿Se ha contactado con algunos congresistas? ¿Tienen alguna reacción de alguno de ellos?
Hemos estado en diálogo constante con miembros del Congreso, tanto en la Cámara Baja como en el Senado. Evidentemente, al tratarse de un caso legal, hay poco que el Congreso pueda hacer en esos casos. Claro está, el gobierno federal, los abogados de los agentes homicidas continúan demorando este proceso. Lo que el Congreso puede hacer, y lo que queremos que haga el Congreso, es asegurar que no haya mayor incremento de agentes de la patrulla fronteriza a cambio de la promesa de una reforma migratoria. Esto es un compromiso al cual tanto demócratas como republicanos en el Capitolio deben de hacer. No se puede seguir permitiendo que los legisladores continúen haciendo caso al caso de Anastasio y al problema tan grave que tenemos no solamente en la frontera sur, pero también en la frontera norte. Así que nosotros continuamos en diálogo constante con legisladores en ambas cámaras, esperando de que no solamente impulse la reforma migratoria, pero que sea una reforma migratoria que sea justa, que sea humana y que profesionalice a la dependencia policíaca federal más numerosa de este país.
Una pregunta para Andrea. Sí, ya son decenas de casos similares en la frontera y
Sí, bueno, 50. Casi 50.
¿Este caso puede sentar un precedente para todos ustedes?
Sí, exactamente. Es por eso que este caso es tan importante monitorear. Porque el caso de Anastasio Hernandez Rojas fue el primer caso que podíamos documentar con alguna evidencia independiente, ¿no? En este caso fue el testigo que grabó en video lo que pasó en este incidente. Entonces, bien importante lo que pasa en este caso, no solo en el caso penal, pero también en el caso civil, porque sí puede ser un precedente por lo que sigue.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? Additional questions? Okay, just to reiterate, we are calling on Customs and Border Protection and on this administration to immediately implement body-worn cameras on all 50,000 plus Customs and Border Protection agents. That is the #1 thing that Congress and this administration can do to stop the senseless loss of life that border residents have to endure for way too long. And we will continue to dialogue with the Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection. We're looking forward to meeting with him again in June and looking forward for my report back. A report that would tell us that he is fully committed to ensure that every single agent that operates in our community is held to the highest of professional standards. And the number one professional standard they can implement as a large law enforcement agency in this country is to equip every single one of their agents with body-worn cameras on the uniforms and dash cameras on their vehicles. Thank you. And for that, we're available for one-on-one.
And for those who are wanting to read the most recent filing that was filed yesterday, we do have copies of that filing, and that's on that's the family's attorney's filing, arguing that the appeal from the government is frivolous and that the trial court should be set.
Thank you again.